Question 3 is another question that gives you information about an interaction that you're not supposed to have met before. So don't start panicking when you think you've never seen that. The idea is that you're supposed to know enough about this topic to be able to work your way through it. So it says that you get a pi minus particle and a proton colliding, annihilating and creating a neutron, a pi plus and a k minus particle. At least that's what the physicist suggests might be able to happen. And it makes life easy for you, this particular question. Other questions might not. It tells you here that pi and k particles are both mesons. Other questions wouldn't tell you that, so you really ought to know that for yourself. And it gives you even more easy information. It tells you that the baryon and lepton numbers of mesons are 0. But again, you're supposed to know that the baryon number and lepton numbers of meson is 0. Because you've done lots of examples when you're working your way through with all the numbers. So what's the first thing you're asked to do? Write down the equation that represents this reaction. It's about a pi minus meeting with a proton. So let's write down pi minus plus proton, and they're going to interact, and what do we get? I'm not going to write it down because that's doing the question for you. But if you look at the question, it says you get a neutron, a pi plus and a k minus. So those are the particles you've got to put on the right hand side. So you get 1 mark for doing that. Then it says, show in terms of conservation of charge, baryon number and lepton number that this transformation is permitted. So what you need to do, as you've done many times before, is you go through underneath the equation and you work out the charge. What's the charge of that? Write it in. What's the charge of that? Write it in. Remember, we're not dealing with the absolute charges in coulombs, it's just a +1, -1 or 0, usually. So we've done the left hand side. Then for the right hand side of the equation, where you've got your other 3 things, you put the charges in. You get to the end, you check that they balance, and if they do balance, you show that by putting a nice big tick there. When you've done the charge, what else is there to check? Well, it tells you in the question. Baryon number. So you go through. For the pi minus, it's a meson. What's its baryon number? Write it in. Proton, what's its baryon number? Write it in. For the 3 things on this side, what's the baryon number? Write them in. When you've got them all in, check that they balance. If they do balance, put a nice tick to show that you've checked. Similarly for the lepton number. You go through the equation, put the lepton number for each term. You check that they balance. If they do balance, you put a tick.